What's up, my chatterboxes? This is my review for Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 7, The Seventh Day. If you guys haven't done so already, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's just get right into this episode. Okay, so it starts off with Grace, Belle, and Darius out of jail. Because, last episode, we were wondering what was going on with Darius. Where was Darius? It was like a little mystery. So we found out that they end up drugging Darius with, I think, PCP. And he got charged with, like, resisting arrest. So, Grace, like I said, Grace bailed him out. So, he immediately was going to go meet with the families that was agreeing to go on a record to talk about Eatonville Linden. So he asked Grace to go with her, but she said no because she had to meet with Aaron because they want to. Apparently, Jacob told her and Aaron that he never knew that H&H was the ones that were going to sell, were the ones buying his property. So under that kind of clause, they may have reason to get like an injunction, whereas though Bob Whitmore and company can't tear down the church. So we'll see how all this play out and further in the episode, but everything look a little promising right now. So now we had Bishop and Lady Mae. Lady Mae was lying there in bed. Bishop come with a little tray, and he have like a hood over top of a plate, so like a little serving dish. So he lifts it up, and it was her wedding ring. So he is saying to Lady Mae, let's just get married, just say I do, we could just do it right now. And Lady Mae like, oh, where did you find it, and all this crap. So Lady Mae, she wants to get, before she does anything, because apparently they supposed to, the date for them to get married is Flag Day, but Bishop is trying to get her to agree to marry him ASAP. Lady Mae saying she want to have a clear slate. She said she don't want to build the church, the new church with more sins and more secrets. So she going on saying how she want to sell some of the land, at least 10 acres of the land, and sell it and give the money to Tyra. So Bishop like, absolutely not. He says, if anything of the sort would make it look like I'm trying to, hush them off as if I'm guilty, and I'm not guilty. He doesn't want any parts of it. So Lady Mae basically saying, well, she took the ring off. She said to him, she was like, well, I guess we'll have to wait until Flag Day. So she's not trying to budge, and she's not trying to compromise with the bishop. You know what I mean? Because she not putting herself in Bishop's shoes. Bishop is absolutely right. It looked like hush money. You know what I mean? And if Rochelle want to get scandalous, Rochelle, can twist it and be able to manipulate, an officer or a detective or something to be able to look into the Bishop. It just opened up a whole, new can of worms. And, Lady Mae saying how she just trying to do it because now that Rochelle is involved in it, she's going to, she's not going to take no for an answer. But this is not the way to go. It's not the way to go. So now we see Jacob. He's sitting in, look like his bedroom. Zora come walking in. So Zora basically badgering him about, did they ever talk to the cousin that live in Hoboken? Because I think it was last episode, Zora was she had bought a plane ticket and she was going to New York. She had no plans, and she didn't know where she was going to live at. She didn't have no plans. She just knows she was going to New York. So he kind of compromised with her. And now she's cashing in on, the compromise. She's saying, like, I haven't heard any word. Did you guys talk to, the cousin? And I forgot what the cousin name was that's in Hoboken. So Jacob is like, listen, I haven't even spoken to your mom yet. She just left, I think yesterday or this, yesterday. So she was like, well, I still have a plane ticket. He was like, cash it in. He was like, or cancel the ticket. We'll buy you a new one, but you're not going to pressure. He was like, you're not going to pressure me. It's a two-way street, and you got to, basically back off. Zora looking at him like he's crazy because I can see it in her eyes that she going to still do what she want to do, period. Whether he fall in line or not. Like, she was telling him how she was looking into an apartment, and she was like, it's really, really tiny. She was like, and I know he'll like it because it is not even a room for her to even have like a boy in there. And that's when he told her to back, like to chill and stop, pushing it. Because she said to him that she had to give them a deposit by the end of the day. Like, Zora, like, you can't just jump into these situations all nilly-willy, all quick, and think that everybody is going to, say, yeah, go for it. No, it don't work like that. And I understand you going through stuff. You're trying to run away from your problems. Your mom and dad getting a divorce is upsetting, it's troubling. But running from your problems ain't going to stop the fact that you have problems, period. So now we have a bishop. He's coming down the stairs, and as he's coming down the stairs, he's met by AJ. So AJ basically popped up because he want to, I guess he want Bishop to make do on his promise to helping him, building that car. That I guess it was that I think it was an Impala. Don't quote me on the name of the car, but Bishop had worked out some kind of deal with him, whereas though, I guess it's them bonding as well, but they're gonna fix up the car together, and it's in a big crate in shambles. Okay, so it's gonna take a long time for them to get that up and running. So they probably be best of friends after the end of that. Okay, but I mean, I know AJ. I guess he playing his role a little bit too good, because it seems like every time I see him, it's like a negative, like he do feel out of place in that situation. But I know that's part of the character because he's the long lost son and everything like that. He playing that role a little bit too good, because every time I see him, I be like, he just don't fit. Like, he just don't fit. Anyway. So Bishop told him that he'll meet him in a half an hour, I guess in the garage or wherever the car is. So then we moved on, and we've seen Philip, Fernando, Judy. They all at the breaking ground site, I guess, at the church, because they're supposed to be demolishing the church. So as they were, there talking, you see Aaron and Grace walks up, and she said, "Y'all, we put a cease and desist on this, because they got a temporary injunctions on the basis of what I spoke about earlier, on the basis about Jacob and Clarissa supposedly didn't know that Harmony and Hope were the actual buyers of the land that they sold them." So Fernando said, "Are you sure about that?" to Grace. You sure his wife didn't know about that? And because Grace said that her brother is willing to testify under oath that he didn't know anything about the buy. And that's when Fernando said to her about Clarissa, "Were you sure about that?" Because she knew that we were Harmony and Hope. She knew what the deal entailed, and she seemed like she loved every bit of it, something to that effect. So he was like rubbing it in that he slept with Clarissa, and that's all I'm looking at. Fernando, you not even, like, at first I thought he was like fine, good looking and stuff, but they did a close up on him. He ain't all they got daggone good looking. And then the fact that he gave her the daggone chlamydia and stuff, I'm like, listen, Fernando, sit your behind down. So as they're over there talking to, Fernando and everything, Noah runs up and, signal for Grace. So Grace walks over to him, and she's like, "Is everything's right?" And said, "AJ," he was like, "No, I found the old caretaker that used to care for the house So we're about to find out what really went down with the deed as to why, the lady left the house to Daryl James, and then there was another one left to, the Greenleaf. So I guess the caretaker will be able to clear everything up for us. So moving on from there, now we have Lady May. She's in the kitchen with Tyra. So she, I guess, went behind Bishop back, and she proposed to Tyra about the land. So Tyra was saying to her, she was like, I don't think that Rochelle was going to go for that, because I suggested before to her that we should get money, and she said she wants victory. That's what she wants. She wants victory. She wants Bishop to admit his wrongdoing in their father's death. And her and Lady May, they have like, words, they're going back and forth a little bit. And because Lady May said, well, I'm trying to meet y'all halfway to seven. She was like, listen, I want peace as well, too. She was like, but, at the end of the day, it's our father who died. It's our father whose name was on, that first will. So she told Lady May, like, I'm trying to meet you halfway here, but we are not in this together. And so Lady May, she go slam the book, talking about, well, I don't see how this ends then. I'm like, Lady May, get off your goddamn high horse. Like, the girl is right. She trying to, work with you and stuff. But at the end of the day, it is a little fishy. Her dad's name was on the first will. He mysteriously, was called to the church and burnt in the fire. Like, come on. So now we have Jacob. He's calling Clarissa. Clarissa's at the park with Winky. And so he called her. So she was like, well, what's this about? Is it about Zora? Because she told me about the apartment. And he was like, no, it's something else. So he wanted to know if she knew anything about the land being sold to Harmony and Hope. That Fernando disclosed to her when they were having a little, rendezvous, that Harmony and Hope was behind the sale of their land. And she got quiet. And he was like, did you know? And she was like, I'm sorry, Jacob. And I'm like, Clarissa is just the gift that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving. And, Jacob was upset about it. He said some more little fly stuff to her, hung up the phone. But I'm like, I don't know. Clarissa, I don't know. I be trying to like Clarissa, but I don't know. She did some foul moves. It's one thing you not being with your husband and you having out for him, but you really messed up a lot of people. So now we have Bishop and AJ. Bishop met AJ down to the garage where the car is. Like I said earlier, it's in a great big crate filled with just a million pieces. So it looks like AJ has something on his mind, or he's a little hesitant about something. And Bishop thought he was a little apprehensive about helping, build the car, because he was like, it is daunting, with all those pieces. He was like, that's why he hasn't went back to it in 40 years. But it was a little bit more going on with AJ. And Bishop had, was talking to him about, do he want, to be saved? Because he asked him, did you used to go to church when you were younger? And AJ said no. And he was like, well, do you want to be saved? So so Bishop said to AJ that he asked AJ that. So AJ said, well, what do I got to do to be saved? And Bishop was like, well, that's all you have to do is say, one prayer, and then bam, you're there, you're saved. He was like, you can do that there. I mean, you can do that here. He was like, and just with that one thing, Jesus will put you, take you out the don't destroy pile. So AJ was saying, he wasn't sure, if he wanted to do that. And Bishop was saying, listen, You have to know that there is a God, because how else can you be able to just, justify just the world that we live in? And he's absolutely right. I say that to a lot of people that don't believe in God. Like, how can you explain just your pure, just how everything functions? Like, I don't want to hear about evolution and things like that. Give me, how can you justify the world, period? And I don't want to hear about evolution. So, Bishop said, we're not going to rush you. Whenever you're ready, he was like, I just want to be there when you actually do make that choice. He was like, because that smile that you're going to have is going to be more beautiful than 10, Grand Canyons and 100 sunsets. And AJ was like, well, hopefully, that'll happen as well. I can't wait either. So I like the fact that Bishop don't press him or people. You know what I'm saying? He allows him to make his own decisions. I really, really do like that. And I feel like AJ kind of gravitates to Bishop because Bishop is not forcing himself on AJ. It seemed like it's coming naturally. And that's what AJ needs. So it was kind of like a good little scene between the two of them. Okay, so Noah and Grace, they're together. They're going to the old caretaker place. And when I tell y'all, he dropped a bomb on them. So he was basically telling them how Daryl James used to be disrespectful to Miss Davis, and he couldn't understand why she allowed him to talk, to him like that. Her being a white woman, and he being a Negro man, and he just talking to her like that. He was saying how, sometimes when it got too loud, he would walk over there and knock on the door to ask if she was all right, just, to make sure he wasn't putting his hands on her. And she would tell him no. Tell him, yeah, she's all right. But he said he knew it wasn't, wasn't true. So Grace was like, well, what was the connection? Were they lovers? And the caretaker was like, no, they wasn't lovers. Ooh, no, they wasn't. Like, he got real, like, defensive on that. And so she was like, well, why you say that? It's because he's black. And he was like, no. So she was like, well, what was the connection? Do you know? He said, yeah, I know the connection. He was like, well, I guess it's okay for me to tell you guys since she dead and gone. It's no harm. And the connection is Daryl James was Mrs. Davis' son. Mrs. Davis' son. Yes, I had to repeat that. So this changes everything as far as the house. So moving on from that, now we have Charity and Bishop. They're in the living room and they watching on the news that Bob Whitmore is about to announce his race for Senate. So as they're, looking at the news coverage, Lady Mae comes in. So she's like, well, what's going on? So they tell her what's going on about the church. And he says, it's typical Bob Whitmore. And Charity says, it's bad enough that he's tearing down our church, but he got to make a mockery of it while he do it. Listen, typical Bob Whitmore is right. He is a piece of work. He's always grandstanding. He's only out for himself. He don't care about the people. He don't care about the church. He don't care about anything. He only care about himself. So, they were, we're talking about that. And as they were going back and forth, because Lady Mae on her high horse, because when Bishop had said that Bob Whitmore was with like pure evil, Lady Mae saying, oh, I refuse to believe that someone is, pure mitigated evil. And he was like, oh, here you go defending him. She said, no, I'm just defending that God, and he made everybody, willing to change. Something to that effect. Like Lady Mae, I guess she's trying to do like a 360 or 180. 180. And sometimes I just be like, she taking it too far. Call a spade a spade. Bob Whitmore is scum. It is what it is. I know God can change whomever he want to change, but at the moment, Bob Whitmore is he's he's a piece of work. And Charity said, I agree with Daddy on this one. Like, come on, Lady May. Enough is enough with that goddamn going crap. So anyway, as they're going back and forth, Grace comes in and she basically told them that the house, well, not the house. She told them that Daryl James was Mrs. Davis' son. So Charity, she gets up. She says, she's not about to lose the house and the church all in one day. She's going down there, to try to see if she can stop something. Because she was pissed off. So, I'm not Daryl. I'm about to call Bishop Daryl. So Bishop asks, like, how do you know? So she basically told him, what she was told by the caretaker. And so Bishop told Lady May to get Tyra and Rochelle at the house because he needs to talk to them. Lady May, she doesn't really want to do it. He was like, no, they need to hear this. It is, I feel bad because, this is the end of the season. So I guess they got, the end of the series and, they got to wrap it up. But it's like one blow after another blow after another blow. It's like, it's kind of hard to take, especially when you invested in watching this show. So now Zora is trying to talk Sophia into moving with her in New York so she can help pay for things. So Zora asks her to ask her mom for some money. And Sophia's a little hesitant about it. Listen, I don't agree with either one of them just up jump leaving to going to New York. But if Zora is absolutely adamant about going, it wouldn't be a bad idea for Sophia to go. It really, really wouldn't. So I guess Sophia's going to end up talking to Grace about it. So moving on from the girls, we have Tyra, Rochelle, Bishop, and Lady May. They're in the dining room. I guess it's the dining area, and they're discussing the new events that took place. So Lady May said, well, due to new events that, we just learned about in the last few hours, we're coming to you guys to let you know about what's going on. So, of course, the body probably would have to be resumed, and we have to get some, DNA samples. So Rochelle was like, just get to the point. What's going on? So Lady May spilled this, said that, your father, mother is Miss Davis. So they both look like stunned, which I probably would have been stunned too because, they never knew that. So Tyra was like, well, do you guys have any idea of who the father is? So they were saying, no, we don't have any idea, who the father is. And Lady May was saying, well, given the new evidence of, you guys' blood ties to the property, we willing to concede. And then Tyra, you could see, like, it was like she was so happy, but she was like keeping it in, like. And Rochelle, she just had like this. I will tell y'all one thing. That LaToya Luck is playing a hell of a job out in this role because she playing a bitch, and she is doing a great job at it. And when you see her in her real life, and her on her show, the Family Hustle, she's totally opposite. So when I say, I'm like, damn, you really playing this girl. You playing it, okay? So anyway, she told them that, well, because Rochelle was giving them attitude, and Tyra was like, just stop it, they willing to give us the house. She said, I don't want this house. She said, only thing I want is what I would get in a court of law, the truth and nothing but the truth. And she want a confession. She wanted Bishop to confess, that he actually murdered her father. She said she don't even care about it. And Bishop like, hush up now, hush. He always telling her to hush. So as they were going back and forth with one another, Jacob ran down there. He was like, listen, sorry to interrupt. He was like, but we need to get down to the church. Charity just sent an email to all the members of the church saying that she had something that she wanted to disclose about Bob Whitmore. So Lady Mae was like, well, has anybody responded? And Jacob was saying a lot of people was, filling up at the church and they just need to get there. So Bishop was saying to Rochelle, he was like, if you want the truth, follow us down to the church and you'll get the truth. I don't know what Bishop got up his sleeve. I don't know what he about to say to Rochelle, but I'm tuned in. So now we see Darius and Grace Day at the church. Darius got some good info when he met with those people, and they were able to connect Phil's mother on the signature line of a lot of those deals that went through. So Grace and Darius have Bob Whitmore by the balls. And CBS is about to run the story, and it seemed like Darius is about to be back in business because he got fired from his reporter job on behalf of Bob Whitmore pulling strings. So now the cat is out of the bag, and Darius like, well, he's not gonna be able to run away from this one because he at the church now doing damage control. So one of the members in the congregation was saying, well, they got an email from Charity about this Ianville lending. So he goes on meaning Bob Whitmore, he is trying to do damage control. He's saying how they just gave he was trying to spin it saying they was just giving loans to the people so they'd be able to pay their bills without going under, because he was trying to explain the Ianville practices, but he was lying. So Charity said to him, well, can you explain why I think she said 90 to 100% of the people were black? And he was saying, well, where did you get those numbers from? So that's when Grace and Darius, they barged in, and he was like, well, we got, all these signatures, to basically back up the claims that they're saying. He was like, and why? And so Grace said, why is Mr. Morris' name on every last loan? Why did you need a black woman to sign off on all these loans? So Bob Whitmore tried to act like he ain't know nothing to do with it. He was like, if she was doing that, it wasn't, of my knowing. So Phil was steaming. So Grace pointed out that it was Phil's mother. So Phil gets up there, and Bob is like, oh, I was wondering when you about to get up there and help me out. First of all, Bob, you really think you got him by the balls, and you think you got him so, brainwashed that you could make him go against his own mother? You tripping. So Phil got up there and said, on my mom's deathbed, she kept on saying, I hope that God can forgive me. Hope God forgive me for what I've done. But she said she never said what it was that she, has done. And now it's all clear as to what she did. Because he said growing up, he never knew what kind of work his mom done. He just knows she always worked hard. And then now it's all bringing everything full circle with them putting all this evidence in his face. So he goes over to Judy and asks Judy for his ring. And Ring was like, no. And then she ended up giving it to him, but she threw the shit on the floor and then she gonna call him stupid. I'm like, Judy, give it up. I know you embarrassed because he did it in front of the congregation, but you knew he ain't with your ass in the first place. You knew it. So Bob, he's still going on talking about, well, y'all, let's get to it, because y'all know that I have, an announcement that I, want to get out today. Basically talking about this, him being running for Senate. He was like, and he threw the green leaves under the bus, talking about, before we got here, was this church was ran by, you know, what is that, tyrannical family, and they misused you guys. And that's when, as he was saying that, Bishop came and he started talking about how he misused, the church. He said that how the church all got started was how Miss Davis, when she gave him the house, he was able to use the house as collateral to get the church. And that's how it all began. And he said that he was somehow each day, letting small sins go by, small sins, keep accumulating. And he said it was basically, he was sacrificing that just for what he was gaining. Like he was, gaining wealth. He was gaining, power, So, and inherently, and he was misusing the people's trust in the process of all of that, because he's supposed to be leading them. He's supposed to be giving them these lectures and these sermons, and telling them the way to go, and he's not walking the walk. So he goes on to tell them how when his attorney Mac had brought him to Miss Davis, and she gave him the house, she willed him the house, and it wasn't until he said he didn't put the correlation together, because she was going on to talk about how Daryl died in the fire, and he just knew that she was childless, and he said he didn't put that together, or he kind of didn't want to put it together. He didn't know that they went hand in hand. So he told Rochelle, he was like, I'm sorry. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but it is what, that's what it is. So then Bob was telling him, okay, that's enough. And Bishop was like, I got more to say. So he went on, to saying how, he apologized, for things that took place. He was like, everybody suffered. The congregation suffered. His family suffered. He was like, and it was just all basically for greed. Point blank, it was for greed. And he apologized. The congregation seemed to be receptive of it. Everybody, they seemed like they were, I guess they were happy that he laid it all out there for them, because he did hurt a lot of people, and he addressed that in his sermon, his unofficial sermon. So Bishop was going on to say, that's all I was trying to show you, what was possible with God, what was possible with God, and I'm afraid that's all I was able to show you, what the inevitable it was without him. So Corinne jumped up and said, you showed us a lot more than that, Bishop. And that's when Lady Mae said, seconded. And then the whole congregation, kind of like rallied around them. And Bob Whitmore was like, he was trying to shut it down. And Phil said, it's time for you to go. So Bob, Judy, and Fernanda, they walked their asses out the church. But as they walking out the church, Charity gonna bust out Amazing Grace. I know I sound horrible because I'm not a singer, but I'm like, did we really have to have this? As they walking out the church, the whole song singing Amazing Grace. Like, I'm like, that was not needed. We did not need that at this time. I just thought that was like weird. So after all the praising, Rochelle must have stormed out, and Grace, she ran behind her. and she was telling her that she wanted to thank her. So she said, for what? So she was like, I assumed you the one who gave slipped me to Noah's number. She was like, I guess she was trying to, mess with me. She was like, yeah, because I just wanted you to know that someone else out here knew that you know better than no one else. So Rochelle said, you worse if you ask me, giving up your son like that. So Grace was like, message received. She was like, it turned out to be a blessing. So Rochelle come walking towards her. She was like, God can use anybody, that even a sinner like me. So Rochelle storms out. Now we see Charity and Phil talking. Phil telling Charity how she didn't deserve how he treated her, and he's still in love with her. He's still in love with her. So Charity basically shut his ass down. She said, no one ever hurt me, not even my son father hurted me the way you did. She was like, and I'm not going about to give you my heart again for you to, misuse it again. Nope. She stood up for herself. I love every bit of it. Kudos to you, Charity. Kudos to you. So now we have Grace and Darius in the car. And we found out in this scene that Bob Whitmore is stepping down from H&H. The scandal is public now. And Grace was like, she was kind of like in shock and awe. She was like, I still can't believe it. So they started kissing. He wanted to take her ass back to the house. She told him no because she got to talk to Sophia. When she goes in the house, she ended up talking to Sophia. Sophia apologized to her and was like, it'll never happen again as far as, her sending, news to anyone. And she didn't even know what Sophia was talking about because Zora made her believe that she told her, but she never did. So moving on from them two, we see Lady Mae. She's getting all dialed up in her lingerie. She putting perfume on. I guess Bishop, revealing everything that he revealed and left everything on, the pulpit, got her all hot and bothered. I guess she wanted, a little tingle down there. So she's getting ready to try to throw it up on Bishop. But when she goes over to Bishop looked like he had a stroke. Bishop can't talk. His mouth is like droopy. It appears that he had a stroke. So Lady Mae, so Bishop was signaling to her that he was going to try to write something down. Because prior to this, she was saying how, she want to get married and things like, we can just do it. Before she would realize that his face was looking like it was. So he wrote down and scribbled, but you can kind of make it out. He wrote down, I do. So she was like, I do. And I'm like, all this going on, and it seemed like it took so long for her to call for help. It took so long, in my opinion. So she ended up calling for help. And Bishop, he was slowly we were just slowly losing Bishop. We were slowly losing Bishop. And Lady Mae was like, no, crying and stuff. And Bishop, he, was falling back on the bed and looked like he lost consciousness. Now, I don't know if he did, but it appeared to me that he died. That's what it looked like. Because from the upcoming previews, I can't really tell if he died or is he just in the hospital or what. But my heart sank, and I'm like, oh my God, because notice the end of the season, and I'm like, oh, we lost Bishop. We felt like it's a family member. Oh my God, they left us with our heart broken. How do you guys feel about this? Because I'm really distraught about Bishop dying. Anyway, that's all I got for this episode of Greenleaf. If you guys like the content, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm sorry that this video is long, but it's hard for me to condense Greenleaf into 30 minutes. It is so hard for me to do. So, and don't forget to holler at your girl. Bye!